quickly. Nearly live. We're on YouTube.
Yeah.
We are on Facebook. Yay!
Yay.
It's been a while. It's been a while. I'm
Are we
amazed.
really? Oh, yeah.
We are. I can see us.
I just
Look,
got a
there we
note.
are.
I not yet, but yay.
It's been a while. I'm amazed. It's
Awesome. Here we go. Okay. Hi, everyone.
Let us know if you're there. It's been a little while. I was a bit panicky that I wouldn't remember which buttons to press. Or I just start pressing random buttons, which won't put past me at the moment. Emma, hello. Oh, we've got one of your questions today, haven't we, Emma? Brilliant. Nicole, yay!
Hey, Nicole.
In the house.
Great.
And Sarah. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Hey.
Oh,
Yeah, Sarah. Ooh. Hello. We were just saying we are a little bit low in energy. All we need is Sarah. Yay.
Yeah, we need a bit of Sarah energy because you're always so upbeat, Sarah. You're brilliant. Iris, hi, how are you?
Oh, nice. Hi, Iris.
Great to see you. Superb.
Super.
Oh,
Okay.
brilliant.
So we haven't really, how are we going to do this? So we have a topic today. We want to talk a bit about the traffic light system.
Yep.
And why it's important. And then we also have quite a few really good questions.
Yeah, some cool questions today.
So we probably better get going, hey? Otherwise,
we probably ought to get a bit of a move on, haven't we? It's not a good idea. Not a bad idea. Okay.
So what we were thinking was we can talk about, so with the traffic light system, who knows the traffic light system? Who knows what we're talking about? Give us a little wave or a heart or a yes in the chat.
Change onto my other camera.
Because we're not really talking about driving.
Not on this occasion. So Iris does. Brilliant. Oh, Anna's here as well. Hi, Anna. Brilliant.
Hey.
Yeah, anyone that's done Reboot will have been introduced to this before.
Yes, and I think we
really
did
cool.
Oh, LG says she's loving it. Yay, LG, thanks and welcome.
This is going to be great for you then, because we're just going to go into a little bit more depth of how you use it, really, so that you don't get it wrong. So pretty cool. And as you can see, I'm at the whiteboard already.
Yeah, you're all prepared. Okay, cool. Okay, then let's get into it. Okay, so what we want to talk about is how we can use the traffic light system to help our dogs, and especially why it's relative for those of us who have dogs who have big feelings, are a bit reactive, or lunge and bike on leash. So it's traffic light system because we really go with the colors green, amber, and red, hey? Just like a robot, because over here we call the traffic light a robot. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. No.
Yeah. Turn left at the robot. Anyway.
Oh, I'm going to use that now.
It's pretty cool. So when it's green light, right, it means that it's obviously good, we can go. So it means that our dogs can watch a trigger with only mild interest, right? They're not showing any concern. Your dog's comfortable, you don't have to do anything to support them. Amber is when there is a little bit of, there are some signs of arousal or avoidance or, stress. So there we're looking for changes in the body language, because we need to know when they're in amber, because this is really critical so that we can easily turn, because it can really easily switch into red unless we intervene. And what we can do is we can support them moving further away, etc., so that they can get back in the green. And then red is when your dog is actively reacting, barking, growling, lunging, losing it. It's, losing it. And that's when you need to really move very quickly from the trigger to help them de-escalate. So what we want is you want our dogs always to be between green and amber. That's the goal, right? So what we really need for this to work is we need to know our dogs really well, isn't it, Julia? We need to know what it
Absolutely.
looks like.
And that's
And
the
one
thing,
thing,
isn't it? They're telling us all this information as to how they're feeling, how well they are coping with the situation all the time. And it's kind of up to us to get some sort of understanding of that, so then we can work with them.
yeah. So what we were thinking were, the green is kind of the most straightforward, I think. What do your dogs look like when they're in the green? Just share in the chat what you see. Not so much how they're feeling. We really just want to just write down what you see, you know, and the things to look for would be what are the tails doing, the ears, the eyes, the mouth, and the overall posture. What do you see? Let's see what we have in the chat here. Okay, tail up and waving. Relaxed body language. That's so true, Kerstin. But let's break that down a bit more. What does relaxed body language look like?
Good.
No, Patricia says, right. I love the emoticon.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Love it. Soft eyes.
Okay, yeah, soft eyes, super, Kerstin.
I think
And
soft or hard
attention,
eyes.
Sarah says, attention is on me, ready to play or work.
Soft eyes, I find one that's quite a difficult one for people to recognize sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, there's lots here. Green, tail up, quiet, ears up. Great.
Ears up.
Relaxed tail is obvious in my dog. That's great, Emma. So what does the relaxed tail, what does that look like? Is it up? Is it down? Is it moving? Is it still?
Oh, can I tell you something about a relaxed tail? With it's really, really relevant, because when I first had Hattie, when I thought that her tail was a tail that went down, you know, like a Labrador tail, and that was the relaxed way. But in fact, as she got more confident, her tail started curling over her body and she had a height. So really interesting. You've got to know what's normal for your dog.
That's so true.
Don't you?
So true. Okay, Emma is explaining now, describing it now. It's kind of in the middle, slowly waving. Great.
Well, we've got mouth
and
open.
Then Iris says that when the body is relaxed, it's busy sniffing and ambling. Okay, smooth movement. Pat says the mouth is open. Yeah. And LG says the weight is balanced. He's not pulling back or straining forward. Ah, I like that one.
I like that one, yeah.
Great. Okay, that's great. I love it. So there's lots to work with, you know, because it's really important that we know when our dogs are feeling good and in the green, right? Now let's have a look at shall we do the amber first or shall we do the red first?
Let's do, should we do the red? Because it's a bit more obvious, isn't it? It's not
that's what I was thinking.
Nuance there. Yeah.
So, or shall we first talk about what you want to do when you're in the green? Sorry, I'm throwing all sorts of things at you.
No, you're being a bit mean. I say, let's finish the red, amber, green body language.
Okay, cool. I'm with you. Okay, yeah. Okay, so now guys, when your dog is, I mean, maybe some of you don't ever see that, your dog in the red, that's great. I envy you. But what if your dog goes over the top with excitement or frustration or fear, whatever it is, when they're redlining? What do they look like then? How do you know that they're in the red? What do you see?
Oh, why don't I take this with me? Well, all right, this is a great
or here.
Brilliant plan by me. Reading comments.
Oh, that's really smart.
I know. Why didn't I think of this before?
Okay, here, Patricia.
Pulling on leash.
Pulling, ears back, loud barking. Kirsten says lunging, barking, growling, spinning, stiff body, whale eyes, high alert tail. Wow.
Yeah, Riley, keeping me on my toes.
Mm. Okay,
Literally,
barking
that was the
loud,
way
says
it was.
Sarah. Lunging again, yeah. Pat says stiff body, staring at the trigger, tight leash. Great. Tight leash, that's a good point. Tight leash. Yeah. Very still, staring hard, lunging on lead, says Emma. Great stuff.
I like that still.
And Edgy says the ear's full off. He doesn't hear me. Good point,
Do you know,
Edgy.
that's so true. Goes deaf and won't take food, will they?
Oh, yeah, good point. Tight mouth, excessive panting, says Kirsten.
Right.
Mm. Hi, Eleni. Fixated, she says. Barking, not able to redirect, stiff body. So true. Nice to see you, Eleni. Iris says, different type of barking, very loud. Lunging,
it is,
pulling
isn't it?
lead, will not be moved. That's great, Iris, that you noticed that the barking changes. That's really good. You know your dog well. Will not be moved.
Yeah.
Okay.
And things like, you know, some dogs will lie down, won't they? And, you know, that sort of thing. That's telling us that they're in the red when they lie down and won't move.
Yeah. So true.
Which might be your dog.
Okay, great. Lots of body language. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, now I think the most difficult one
Yeah, I agree.
is the amber. So before
and it's
we
the
go
most
in the
crucial one in a lot of ways.
yes.
Here's
a little thing for you guys. Who feels that their dog is hardly ever in the amber, that they go from green to red instantly? Just give us a yes.
Or just a thumbs up.
Who feels that their dog spends hardly any time? There's a thumbs up. Yep.
Yeah.
Can go really quickly from amber into red, hey? Yeah. So 90% of the time, says Kirsten. 90% of the time in the amber, or goes really fast from amber to.
Pat says if the trigger appears unexpectedly, it's instant.
Yeah.
Green straight to red. Yeah.
Sarah says definitely capable of yellow.
I'm capable of it, aren't you? But that's me more than my dogs these days. And that's kind of the thing, isn't it? Because again, it's something we talk about a fair bit. It's about that rehearsal of behaviors. And if a dog goes into the amber, and if they rehearse that when they're in the amber, they're going to go into the red. So they start the green, they go into the amber, and then they go into the red. This bit just gets smaller and smaller and smaller till it disappears, doesn't it? Because it's like, well, it's pointless now. If, on the other hand, they go from green to amber, and then they de-escalate back to green again, that becomes more that learned behavior. So therefore, this amber bit becomes more kind of a little bit more of a buffer zone for you. So we'll talk a little bit about, you know, all that kind of stuff in a minute.
Okay.
Right, so LJ said in amber, Bodhi will move forward with me and take food, but he can't sit if asked or tug. So it's kind of that distracted, isn't it? And do you get that thing, LJ, that when you take food, it's a little bit snatchy and it's a kind of, I'll just get this into my mouth as quickly as possible and I'll swallow it as quickly as I possibly can.
Okay. So, and also the not being able to listen, you can't sit yet, but you can't tug. Okay, yeah. So
it's almost like they can't think.
Exactly.
Isn't it? It's that can't think thing.
Yeah.
That bit of brain is disappearing.
So now.
Super.
But okay, Patricia, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's a really
so Patricia says Did we talk about that already? Because I was sidetracked. I gave Heidi the YouTube link. So that explanation on the learned behavior in amber to go in either direction was an aha moment for me.
I hope that's helpful for the rest of you as well. So any other thoughts on what we might see when our dogs are in amber?
Yeah, we can't think. Okay, but what does your dog look like? What kind of signals might you be seeing in the amber? LG says, yeah, I know. That's how I know we need more space. I love thinking of it like a traffic light.
Yeah. It just helps so much, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, but let's, because not everybody, it's really, really important that we
From Sarah. Ears up.
ears up. Okay.
And this is good,
Yeah.
isn't it? We've got some people
Yeah.
that have been through Reboot and they're getting really great
Yeah.
at describing what they're seeing.
Get out from under my legs here. Go play
Oh dear.
Okay, air sniffing is one. Somebody,
Alerts.
have you guys seen your
Oh,
dogs?
hang
like
on,
air
there's loads
sniffing?
now.
Oh, okay.
So Kirsten's put stiff body and fixating. I kind of look at it like a sort of a jerky movement. The movements become a little more jerky. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
And
then Nicole says also fixation, frozen, maybe a paw up. Yep.
Nice.
Held stiff, ears on high alert. Yes. Alert also from Sarah. Iris says more alert, notices other dogs, seems to weigh up if of interest or to ignore. Yeah, can get either way. Exactly. Leaning forward, says Kirsten. Yeah, I love that. Very subtle. It's a weight shift. And then he says looking or staring instead of smelling the ground.
Yes.
And then Liz shares, mine stiffens up, his body shape changes, he starts to fixate. Sometimes he'll try to lie down. Yeah.
And it's hard, isn't it? Because for some of these, this is going over into a bit of red, which is really interesting. Yeah.
So something I wanted to point out is a lot of you had a closed mouth, right? Instead of a smiley mouth in the red. So in the amber, you might notice that they're closing. The mouth is closing, right? That change might happen in the amber, and then from there it goes very quick. And then Patricia also says amber equals focus away, but might be called off the gaze. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So that is really the thing. Amber can really go either way. And the more often you practice, and Kirsten says, true, he almost looks like as if he would stop breathing. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I mean, here as well, you start getting the eyes start to look just a little bit harder, don't they?
Yeah, except that's often difficult to see if your dog is ahead of you staring at something on a walk, but it's so true.
We've got the soft eyes here, haven't we?
Yeah.
Um,
Sarah says yes, almost pink. Is that from the yellow into the yellow becomes pink, or I'm just not sure what the pink goes for. Okay, and then LG says, as a golden retriever, Bodhi gets excited, goofy, pulls on the leash, forward or back, depending, fast, panting, can't focus of me, time to make space and regroup. Yeah, exactly. The Goldens in particular, and then some of the Doodles will do this a similar thing. Quite a few dogs, actually, they get really quite silly and foolish, right? When they start to get stressed.
Yeah, for the goofy there.
Totally. Good points. Good points. All right. So lots of body language.
I'm going to take a photo of this and then I'll upload it.
Thanks. That's a good one. So next. Okay, yeah, Sarah says, yeah, yellow moving into just barely red and then bright red or back to yellow. And Heidi says vigor circling increases. Yes, yes, the herding dogs, and then also in agility, I guess, if she gets like over aroused, she gets more spinning. So true. Welcome, Heidi. Okay, so the next thing quickly we wanted to talk about is now that we identified some of the body language that we might see in each of those stages, because these are stages, right? The dogs move through that. It's always in flux. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a Buddhist. Everything's in flux.
You're a mad woman, you are.
Even though sometimes, you know, we get the impression with a particular dog, oh, my dog's always in the red, you know, he's always like up, up, up. But, you know, this is obviously when we have too much exposure to too many triggers all the time, all the time, all the time. And then the dogs might lose the ability to, you know, regulate themselves into a different life state. So what we want is for our dogs to be able to go from the yellow back into the green, right? So let's talk a little bit about what we should be doing with our dogs when they are in those stages. So in the green, it's easy peasy. Julia, what would you be doing, or what should you be doing when you're with your dog and the dog is in the green?
I'm having an utterly lovely time in the green. Okay, so the green zone might be at home. So it's places where there's not a whole heap of distractions. We're confident, we're happy, and that's where we are building value for tricks and behaviors. And that's basically where we're putting the foundations and the learning in place. There's no point trying to do the learning part of anything in the amber or red because it's too hard. So the green zone is the learning zone.
I love this. That's a real gem.
I think we need to write that down actually because
yes,
I'm writing it down.
I don't know if I try to do the chat here, then everything kind of shuts down for me. But that's a real gem. The green zone is the learning zone. I love that.
Yeah, it's also that rest and reset zone. It's where your dog can go into their parasympathetic nervous system, which is super geeky, but that's the state that we go into.
For geeks.
I know, actually. Any masterminders next week, we're talking all about that. Cannot wait. Love a bit of a geek out. Anyway, but it's where all that kind of repair, recovery, all those sorts of things are going to be able to happen because your dog's not in any kind of survival mode. They're safe.
So we actually want our dogs to be mostly in the green, right? So on a walk, we might see some yellow, or in certain situations, we might see some yellow, and that's totally okay. We do need our dogs. We want them to have an active and fun life, right? But we want plenty time in the green.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, and then what do we do? Oh, what do we not do in the green?
Well, there's a question. So when we are in the green, we don't try and push our dogs too hard. So what we don't do is go, oh, shall I just see how close I can get before we go red? Shall I just try that? So we keep our dogs safe. Having said that, the green can become it's not necessarily just the green that becomes this super safe bubble that we make for ourselves. Sometimes when our dogs might be able to put different places into the green, we keep the ones that we're sure of. And so you can get a little bit trapped there without but if you're going to start moving away from it, you've got to have a plan and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it can become a little bit, the world can become very small and stay very small.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so now if we think about the amber zone now, what would you say someone should be doing with their dog when they're in the amber?
Outstanding question. Okay, so
it's me.
If you're going in the amber zone with your dog, you need to have a plan. You need to know exactly what you're going to be doing, and you need to make sure that both you and your dog are fully prepared. So You might go into the amber zone and say, right, we're going to do some simple training that we have practiced loads in the green zone and we know backwards, upside down, inside out. Then we can start moving that into the amber zone. And then what that does is that starts making that world that little bit bigger, but we've got to make sure we're prepared and we've got to make sure that we're planned for it. But actually it can be a really cool opportunity to, to move forwards if you do.
Yeah. So we want to bring out our repertoire of behaviors that will help us ground the dog, right? And encourage them to stay with us and move them back into the green.
Yeah, because what will happen then is that bit of amber will in time will become green because that's become another safe space. It's a place where you do focusing on me. Yay.
So what are guys, here's a question for you. What are your go-to behaviors that you use to bring your dog back from amber into green? What kind of game would you play? What kind of behavior would you ask? Probably not just the one. What do you do? I'm just curious. And then in the meantime,
what are your favorites, Barbara? Can I just ask you that first?
Yeah, my favorite for Falcon, it's middle and high five, side and close, like, reinforcement zone games. And also I might do sit down. Stand, not so much because the stand is not that fluent yet. So I wouldn't use that unless I'm in the green. With Noah, if it's like arousal we're talking, then definitely down, like I do ready, steady, and he flops into a down kind of thing. But then also the other things, paws up, them just stretching up, putting their paws on me. I like that one a lot. With Falcon, I might use spins and twirls.
Nice.
Spins. But Noah,
joyful behaviors, can't they?
Yeah, in Noah's case, that kicks his arousal up really high. So if he out and about on a walk, for example, I wouldn't ask him because he will vocalize, and then whatever dog is around there will, might get even more excited. But it would definitely be something if I need more focus on me and more excitement, then I would use that. And in some situations, like for my start lines and stuff, I might even use it to get him out of stickiness. If he's so over aroused that he gets sticky, then I might use those behaviors.
Good idea. We've got loads and loads of people. So Nicole, search to sniff, or 1, 2, 3 to pass triggers, the look at me, check game.
Wow, lots.
All those sorts of things. Kirsten, scatter treats. Sarah's, oh gosh, I keep losing everything here. Sarah's got search, sit this way. Lovely. Middle, Nicole as well. Yeah, I use middle a lot with Dashi. Iris.
Touches.
Iris says recall back to me, search and middle. I'm just wondering if when you do recall back to me, I assume that's when they're on lead and you're just bringing them back in close to you again from being in front, because I think that can be quite nice. Hand touches, space, reinforcement zone, more hand touches, yeah.
And LG says hand targets making space from triggers are set in loops. So so exactly, so going around in a circle or something, and then also changing sides, right? If you have nice fluent on a cue, or some way to get them from the one side of your reinforcement zone from heel position into the other side, or vice versa. That's really nice, because then sometimes you can be the barrier, right? You have the dog on the outside, you're passing a trigger that's on that side, and then your body is between the trigger and you. It's quite a nice one.
Yeah, I like that one. That's really good.
Yeah, and Patricia says moving away, definitely.
100%.
Yeah, so you definitely want to use if you want to be observing your dog and the behaviors in the yellow, you don't want to let them escalate. So moving away is definitely what you do while you're doing those things.
Exactly. No, that's all really cool. Really cool. Okay.
Sit, middle, and scatter feeding, says Heidi. Great, Mobile.
I quite like paws up as well. For Hattie in particular, it's a little power pose.
Yeah.
Um,
And then here's a nice observation from Liz about timing. If within a second I can throw treats and say, Riley, find. If he's a little more towards the red, I can offer a treat, but doesn't always work. It's down to timing. But then you know what's going on. I have a little
Exactly.
over-aroused border collie here. I've got to close my door. I don't want him to run in and out. We'll be back in a second.
Yeah.
You keep going.
No problem at all. So now the next thing, of course, is what do we not do when we're in the amber? So the first thing is we don't try and ask for any new behaviors. Our dogs don't have that processing power available to them in order to be able to do that. And also it can make your dog feel really quite uncomfortable and can be quite stressful for them. And the other thing is testing to see where the red zone is. And any of those questions where you think, I wonder what would happen if I just... Generally, the answer to that is don't. You know, you need to be really careful to stay in that amber and out of that red as much as you possibly can.
Yeah. Okay. Shall
Red.
we then? Huh? Sorry.
We go on to the red.
Yeah. What should you be doing with your dog in the red zone?
Getting out of it.
Yeah,
Nothing.
Get out of it.
Yeah, just get out of there.
Yeah, as soon as you can.
Mm.
What you don't want to do is you don't want to hang around.
Yeah. And another thing that I think you want to do is don't try and give your dog food when they're in red. They can't take it and it can feel punishing.
Yeah.
Imagine someone's going in your mouth. So yeah, if they've gone red, it's that the food time is gone. Cool.
Cool. Okay. So I hope this is helpful.
We've got lots of people that are really enjoying using this as well, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, that's great.
Really cool.
LG says, I have to be careful with Middle as he's a big dog and I'm so short.
I know exactly what you mean, LJ, with Dash. Sometimes it's a bit like, oh, isn't it? I hear you, my friend. I hear you. Oh dear. Right.
Clowns in the room. So funny.
Too funny.
Okay, very
So
distracted.
yeah, and it's just remembering as well that all our dogs are unique. If you've got more than one dog, the signs that they give you as to which zone they're in will vary.
Good points are being made in the chat.
Oh, have we missed them? Quick.
Pat says, red, stay calm myself.
Great.
Good one. And then Elsie says, red zone is my fault, management situation, get out and make space. Beautiful.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Hmm.
Oh, you guys are good. You guys are very good.
Cool. Okay, shall we? Oh, look, lots of... Yay.
Are you getting a bit of love?
Yeah. Cheers, Patricia. You're super welcome. Cheers. We are going to move on to our questions. Shall we?
Oh, should we just, before we do that, should we just mention our news that will be happening next week?
Yeah, you're so right. You're so right.
Hey.
Yeah, because we have well, we had so many people writing in after the launch of Walks Without Worry, which is all about leash walking and what to do with our leash reactive dogs. Anyway, we had so many people write in that missed it. And then at the same time, also a lot of people writing in telling us how fabulous it's been. Anyway, so we're going to open it again. So if any of you missed it last time and would love to come in, we'll open it in a couple of weeks, I think. But if you want to get in now, then send us a mail and we'll make that happen.
Yeah. I think the plan is after that is it will be available, but it'll be available at the normal price.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, this launch we're going to do again at that, you know, the 3 different price tiers that you can choose how much you pay.
You can do.
Yeah, which even the highest one is a third of, you know, the price that it's valued at. So if
Okay.
you haven't got that, do that now.
Yeah, if you're keen, just let us know. We'll make it happen.
Of course.
Right. If you have any more questions regarding the traffic light or any kind of questions while we're on, put them in the chat. And we'll try to get to them.
Sorry, I'm interrupting again, but I've just remembered as well. Just wanted to mention, if anybody would just like a one-to-one diagnostic call with us, we've opened, we're sort of doing it on a rolling basis at the moment and just trying to open more slots so that we can help as many people as possible. It's a stupidly insane price at the moment. Probably
go for it.
Minimum wage, but we just want to help people. So have a look in our weekly newsletters that go out. There's a link in there that you can click on, or you can email us and we'll get that sorted for you. And we'll put another couple of posts in the group as well. So with the link on there so that you can book those in too.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh, Emma says she can highly recommend Walks Without Worry. Thank you so much, Emma.
Thank you, Emma. I'm glad you've enjoyed it.
Here we are. What did you like best about it, Emma? Just if I may ask, what did you really like best? What comes to mind? In the meantime, let's move on to Emma's question. Oh, so I distract you with a question. I'm going to answer your question. Sorry, Emma. Okay, so do you want me to read it?
Yes,
Julia?
please. That would be fabulous.
So my dog growls and snaps without warning, and I can't see a pattern. I think he gets over aroused easily. Recently, he snapped at me when I tried to move his position to practice AZ, and he growled at my son, who's 18 years old, when he tried to stand up, and the dog had his 2 front paws on his lap.
Okay.
Okay. How old is Emma? Can you remind us how old is your dog?
And I think the first thing that we need to say is, need to check and make sure there's no pain, no medical issues with this sort of thing. Because it's quite possible there'll be some sort of underlying discomfort, something physical there, for that kind of behavior. Have we got?
Yeah, definitely. And so
the other thing I'm thinking from what you've said, the thread that I can see from what you've written is movement, human movement, your son's movement, all that kind of movement. And for some dogs, human movement becomes super duper important. And they can get a little bit kind of fixated and a little bit worried about it. So for that, what I would be doing is, let's say it's getting very dark in here, got big black clouds. Anyway, let's say you are sitting down at the end of the day, you're all having a jolly lovely time. Try introducing some micro movements. So things where you might move your hand just a little bit. You want and for your son as well to do that if you can. You want movements that are small enough that you don't get any reaction from the dog, even if it's just a benign reaction. You just want them to not notice it. And it's about that habituation. It's making that movement irrelevant. Because it seems to me, I don't know, like Barbara, you're always saying this, aren't you? We can't read our dogs' minds. We don't know why it might have become an issue for them. But I think that sort of habituation of move would be a really cool idea.
So I'm wondering, since you're on, Emma, did this start recently? I mean, have you seen an escalation? Have you seen any of other, so snapping and growling? First of all, it's important to listen to the dog, right? They're clearly comfortable uncomfortable with something. They're communicating something. So we've got to believe them and then see what we can do to make them more comfortable and make them feel safe.
We've got a
in
little
that
bit more
situation.
info. So he's
Mhm.
between 4 and 6. He's a rescue, and nothing physical according to the vet. And she's wondering if he was never really taught how to behave with movement when he was a puppy. So they don't know any background on him. And yeah, I think that is, that is suggestive that could be part of the problem.
Yeah, might also be being handled because I see that these are situations where he's being touched
Yeah, great one.
and has to shift his weight. Collar grab game from which I think is in Walks Without Worry. The collar grab game will definitely be a good one.
Cardboard chaos.
Um,
Definitely cardboard chaos. Another one that I would probably do is something like, for example, putting a broom handle across 2 chairs, tying pieces of string with plastic bottles hanging, and see if he will go under that, because that's then touching him, but making sure he's getting lots of rewards, and that you don't push him, and he only does it if he actually wants to. So you might start with 1 bottle and then 2 bottles, those kinds of things. That might be quite good to help him out.
So what's really important on how to deal with this is you want to take note of when it happens. So I'm assuming that he hasn't been with you for a very long time. I'm not sure. Maybe you've had anyway. So number one is don't try to avoid the kind of situation. So if him hopping on the lap, things like that, using management, and building up to being able to move him carefully, like with the games that Julia mentioned with the collar grab game. What you do not want to do is tell him off for growling, or even snapping. You want to understand, watching his body language, look for other signs that he might feel unsafe. So it sounds a little bit like things coming too close to him, being touched. I would also investigate further whether there isn't a reason that he might feel physically uncomfortable, because might not be as obvious, right? So those would be the first thing. Definitely not tell him off. Work on confidence building. So all the foundation games in Walks Without Worry, when you play the games, make sure that he gets really high rate of reinforcement. And so small steps, set him up for success, be very, very patient, and definitely watch his body language when people move around, when people approach him. Look for things, subtle things like lip licks, yawns, him looking away, suddenly standing still, all the little subtle things that dogs do when they feeling uncomfortable and they want to create more space, so that you get a better handle on when he feels that his, too much pressure on his safety bubble. I hope that helps, Emma.
If it was me, I would probably take him to some canine massage or something like that. I'd get someone to have a feel around with all that soft tissue as well. See what they come up with.
If you, it depends on the dog. It depends, right? If he doesn't like to be handled, you might have to be careful with that. There's a lot of other steps first. But if this is not the normal, if you're quite good with medical, with your vet team and so on, then absolutely investigate. And a year is not that. It is a while. Only. Sorry. You never know. Sometimes it can take a while for them to feel really safe and comfy. And then also look whether something has changed in his situation recently. Okay. So Iris.
Can I read this one?
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay, so Iris is mostly between green and amber. Yay, but there is a
Iris or her dog?
Both of them, by all accounts. But she said we. So, but she's got a definite red zone and can't get on top of it. So there's a dog few doors down. Every time they see the dog, even at a far distance, Billy will see red within a split second. He'll howl, bark like a crazy guy and lunge. So she can't see what the specific trigger is. Is it the size of the dog? It's an XL bully. It's muzzled. It's never reacted to the barking and lunging coming from Billy. It's clearly a very well-trained, placid dog. Is it her? Does she hold the lead? Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to, go into too much more detail on that. But yeah, once Billy's in the red zone, even after we've walked away, it can take ages for him to calm down, stop barking, and reset. Can't work out how to resolve it. Yeah, that sounds like a familiar story, doesn't it? When there's that one dog. What are you thinking, Barbara?
So I'm thinking the fact that it takes a long time for Billy to recover means that he really is quite upset. The split second change, as soon as he senses that the dog is there, there's a bit of a habit that's formed.
Yeah, definitely. It's the this is what I do, isn't it? When I see this dog. Can I just ask Iris if you're there still? Does he do it just on sight of the dog, or can it be when he hears the dog? Or is it any indication that that particular dog is there? Although from the sounds of it, maybe the dog doesn't bark or make a noise at all. And so it is just on sight. Do you know what I would do? I'm just wondering, do I have another question? I think I maybe do. Okay, so do you tend to see the dog on a walk, or can the dog be in the house through the window and will he react? What if is the dog in the garden and barking at the fence, or just standing in the garden minding his own business while Billy's barking at him? Because I'm just thinking, if we had those bits of information, so say, for example, when the dog was at the window and Billy would bark at him, you might be able to do some, some training and stuff when the dog wasn't at the window of that house. That might work. I would also do, when you're on a walk, I would look at squeezing the juice. So where he's seen the dog previously, once you're sure that dog has gone away, go to the location and then do some training or some disengagement or some tricks or whatever in the location after the dog's not there anymore. So that you're working with the memory of the dog rather than the actual dog itself, which can be a really useful thing to do if, like what you're saying, you've got a dog that reacts on sight at a distance, so it's really difficult to get to that distance. So I think I might have a look at that. What are you thinking, Barbara?
Well, the fact that Iris, that you mentioned that your reaction and your emotional response to that dog could be part of the picture, it probably is. And the fact that you are aware that you're tightening the leash because you want to move away.
So Iris has said it only happens when they're on walks, but he does know where this dog lives and he does a lot of sniffing and peeing around that house.
Yeah.
When it's on site.
And I mean, the thing is, a large bully type dog with a muzzle on can evoke in us like a worry, right? Like, it's just that it doesn't help those dogs that, anyway. But so here's what I think would be best is if you can avoid encountering that dog for a while, that would be good. Just to stop the go-to thing. That would be really good if you can. Next, what I would do is really practice the less tension, more attention game.
Yeah.
It's or this way is the alternative name that's in the Walks Without Worry course that I know you have access to. So have a look at those. Practice that away from distraction and then introduce harmless distractions so that you get and then all the other games, I mean, that we've been working on, and so that you feel when you see that dog, you have you have a protocol that you follow that doesn't just rely on tightening the leash and sort of gently tugging him away to go in the other direction.
Yeah.
Right? You want to for you to feel better, you need to have a new strategy. And for Billy to feel better, he first has to stop rehearsing this. That would be the first thing.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice as well. Let's have a look. Oh, LJ's just made a great point. Is he okay with if he sees other dogs that are muzzled, or does he not see other dogs that are muzzled? In which case there's a bit of a novelty aspect to it, isn't there? It
Could
doesn't.
very well be. It's also we are, I mean, somebody, how do I say this? Lunging and barking are very obvious, unmistakable things, right? And especially for when we're the one that's on the other end of the leash of a lunging, vocalizing maniac, not always, at certain times, right? Then any dog that walks very calmly and doesn't do these things looks wonderful. But what's the body language of that dog? What's the overall picture? Is the dog, what's coming across, even though the dog's not lunging or biting? I mean, dogs do take dislikes to
And if you've
specific
got,
individuals, just like we do.
yeah, if
Right?
they've got a muzzle on, it could be that Billy can't read what that dog
Yeah,
is doing.
yeah. So it could be all these things. So it's definitely, the thing is less exposure to that, and then try to work with other things. Do your turnaround routines, okay, this is nothing, we're getting out of here. Things with something that's less exciting, with nothing first, and then low distractions at home, so that you feel better equipped.
Absolutely. I think that's great advice.
Mm.
So Iris says it'll be easy to avoid the other dog. They tend to work really early or very late as they're trying to avoid people, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Not sure. Don't have other dog encounters with muzzles. So, okay.
Okay. So maybe
yeah.
get a muzzle yourself and let's just see, or
Put
if
it
you
on.
have other dogs.
Are we talking about muzzling Iris now?
No, just get one for the dog. It's normalizing the
Yeah,
muzzle.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So Liz,
Liz.
because I know Liz also put another a reminder of the question in the chat here. So Liz posted this one. Since following your podcast, I learned that my older Gordon is much happier with space when out walking on a lead. So when street walking and we see another dog across the road. This, however, has some drawbacks, as if we happen to be on a path where there is no exit route, or if you're on holiday, walking around, we have to watch him as I can see him tense up as the other dog approaches, and we can't give him space. Not sure how we deal with this, as sitting him down seems to make it worse. He won't take treats, just watches this dog getting nearer.
Okay. So if you're, say, away, you're on a path, you can't make space because there's no way to go that way. I have to say, I've kind of jumped into bushes and all sorts in the past, and you know that he's going to really struggle. At this stage, your best option is to turn him around and go the other way until you can make some space. That's personally at this stage, that's what I'd be doing. I would then also be working on, I don't know, if you've got Walks Without Worry, Liz, because if you have, then I would be working on, you know, those first 2-3 weeks and building it up and building it up gradually. Because from what you've said, he's just not yet equipped for that kind of encounter. So there's twofold. There's the kind of the management. There's the, okay, we know he's going to go into the red when we have this encounter. So, and we know that the best thing for everybody is that we don't go into the red. So let's go and do something else. And let's get out of here. And because the trouble is, if you're in your amber zone and you've got a dog that's coming towards you, that amber zone is going to turn red pretty quickly, and you don't have any control over that. So the only thing you've got control over is creating that space. And if you can't do it sideways, then there's something to be said for going completely the opposite direction. And what you can do when you're on that walk is, you know, just keep your eyes open. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, if we do need to turn around, where can we go? Where are our exit routes? And, you know, do things like, I mean, I do it all the time, you know, you holler over to somebody. If I see someone that I think is there's a bit worried about their dog, I'd be like, which way are you going? Oh, I'm going that way. There, well, we'll go that way then. And it can just, you know, work with people for that kind of thing. And if you haven't got Walks Without Worry, then obviously that's going to be a great place to start. What do you think, Barbara?
Yeah, so everything you said is brilliant. And sitting him down and letting something approach is really hard for many dogs. So while so obviously you would like to, as much as you can, avoid getting stuck in that situation. And then while you do that, then at home in the green zone, I would try other behaviors that your dog can do that make him choose to focus on you. So that is why I love that pause up on me. It kind of it's an action, you know, they stand up, they're right here, they're focusing on me, and they get treats for this, they get down again, treats, or maybe hand targets, you know, anything that is engaging with you, and therefore they're turning around. Now you can't ask them to do this when they are in the yellow or the red, in the red, definitely not, and in the yellow, unless it's like a really well-rehearsed thing. So you've got to really practice this at home first. Your dog loves to do that and can then choose to do this even with distractions. Now, a dog that is approaching is more than a distraction, clearly it's a trigger, right? So we really have to work through a whole lot of different harmless distractions first before we can expect a dog, before we can, you know, a trigger can become just a mild distraction and eventually just gray noise. So the reactions have to be, you know, you definitely have to avoid that. And then have something else that you can ask them to do instead of the overreaction, but there's a route to building that up. And the reason why Julia recommended Walks Without Worry is because there's lots of behaviors in there, but also some step-by-step on how to increase distractions gradually, right? Exactly. Some of these games, so that because it's easier said than done, and we totally appreciate that.
And of course, there are sometimes those situations, aren't there, where you feel like you're totally trapped because you're kind of, there's a dog coming this way, there's a dog behind you, they're like where you can't go either side. What the heck am I going to do now? So, and they don't happen particularly often. If you've got the tools like Barbara said, and you're ready for that, brilliant. Another one that I sometimes use if the dog is not quite in that thinky zone might be a crouch down and do the scatter between my feet, so I can use my bottom and my legs as a little bit of a barrier. So you're positioning so that you're using yourself as a barrier. But for you, I don't think your dog's quite there yet. My watchwords, if you just have to get out there and you just have to deal with it. Space is an obvious one. Speed, I would just try and get out of there as quickly as possible. And obstacles, yourself, your body position, anyone else that's with you, any trees, any cars, anything that you can use as a barrier. Really, really important. But that's only if you have no other option whatsoever.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah. And then something that's a bit of a ninja trick is to go and scout out your route, right? Beforehand. Because, I mean, there are places where you can't avoid. So I'm just thinking of along where I sometimes walk with my dogs along our lagoon. There is a walkway where there's sea on the one side, and then garden development. I mean, houses and their gardens on the other side, and then there's a narrow pathway. I never go down that route because I don't want to get trapped. However, should I find myself, let's say I checked it, I thought, oh no, I can make it to the other end. It's open on both ends. I can make it there, and then miscalculated. My dogs were sniffing somewhere for longer, whatever. So say I find myself trapped there, I'd probably trespass. I'd probably open the gate and go into one of the gardens. And depending, or I walk into the water. Water's shallow there. That's, it might be an emergency exit. But the thing is, where I actually wanted to head to was scout out a route where you know that there isn't a tunnel like that, like a place where you could get trapped, so that there's always somewhere that you could, something that you can use, whether it's a stairwell, is that the right word? Up or down, into a building, behind the garage, anything like that.
It's a real knowledge is power situation, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
We've got one more question. Do you think we've got time to quickly do that one?
Maybe we'll save it for next time, because this is
I think we should save it for next time.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. It's been
yeah, sorry, I was just looking at the question, thinking,
and thank you for catching up with those people.
Could make a whole thing on this.
Don't forget, look out, keep an eye out in your email inboxes for the Walks Without Worry that's coming back.
Yeah, all our news, exactly.
Whoop, whoop. And yeah, if you have any questions, you need anything, stick it in the group, or you can email us. That's all absolutely good. And if you want a diagnostic call again, we're just having, actually, the diagnostic calls are brilliant, aren't they? Because we actually get to know people one-on-one and their dogs, and it's just so much fun. So yeah.
If you want to spend 90 minutes just talking about your situation and your dog with us, we're up for it. Let us know. And hey, Kay, good morning to Kay.
Morning, Kay.
I hope you have your coffee or your tea.
Yeah,
anyway, sorry we have to go, but the recording is right here straight away. So yeah, enjoy that. Anyway, let's
brilliant. We will catch you all soon.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.